Welcome to the Music Production Podcast. This is your host, Brian Funk, aka AfroDJMac, and today I'm having a chat with Cooper Anderson. What's up, Cooper? How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Really nice to have you on the show to talk, get some of your wisdom and experience out to myself and the people.
My pleasure.
So, yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So, we kind of came across each other through the Ableton Live Pack world,
Yeah.
and I was pretty impressed with your work. So you're like a mixing engineer, I guess. Do you want to maybe like put that in your own words so I don't butcher you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of, I think a lot of people do a little bit of everything, but mixing's like my main kind of bread and butter. And then that's how I started. That's typically what I do on a average day, but I'm really big on production as well.
Mm-hmm.
A little engineering, but mostly the mixing and production.
Mm-hmm. So I always like kind of find it weird nowadays anyway, to like define the producer. It's like changed over the years, as it used to be like the guy kind of helping the artist move forward, but now it's like anything from like creating beats to making the whole song.
I always say it's just the person who helps the artist achieve their vision in a tangible form.
Mm-hmm. That's
like
a good way to put
whatever
it.
that is, because it, like you said, it's so wide. I mean, there's so many different artists and like types of music. I mean, it's really,
Yeah.
I mean, you got guys like Rick Rubin who are like, producing 60 albums a year, but they're in the studio for like 2 hours for each one he's actually doing, versus the guys who are like really in there, like sweating it out too.
Yeah, because you can be a producer and you're kind of like almost like coach, rooting the guys on, getting them psyched, and helping them make some difficult decisions with like the tracks. But you could also be writing all the music, putting together everything in a lot of ways. So
Yeah.
it's I guess that's a good way to put it. You're helping the artist achieve their creative vision.
Yeah,
Is cool.
absolutely. And if you need a pizza, I'm always good for a pizza. I feel like that's very important for a producer. You got to produce the pizza.
Right. Well, that can be pretty important to the creative vision,
Yeah, absolutely.
I've gotten a lot of work done around a lot of pizza pies in my life, especially here on Long Island,
Oh, yeah.
in New York. And you said you're do a lot of your work out of Hoboken in the city too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at the Newman Leather Factory, which is kind of like a collective of artists, not just music. It's like everything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we got painters, photographers. There's a lot of rehearsal spaces, probably about 10 music studios. But there's like, we got a cabinet maker, we got a gym, we got yeah, it's pretty cool though. Sonic Youth has a room there, and Yola Tenga.
Uh-huh.
And me.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. It's funny, and now I'm gonna start saying things that I'm not really sure exactly what I'm talking about. But I do have a buddy that was out in, I think it was in Jersey at Sonic Youth Studio is how he told me about it. And I wonder if this is the same place. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I have to run up by him.
Well, Hoboken's very small, so it very well could be. But there is basically there's kind of two like studio areas. There's another big building on the other side of the town that has like Beyonce and like water music. But yeah, Sonic Youth is definitely that's our turf, man.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, because I think he did his drum tracks there.
Yeah.
And maybe like something with Lee Ronaldo, the guitarist. I'm gonna find that out. Fill in the blanks. Sorry for the
no, it's okay. Yeah,
bad
I've
podcast info.
Thurston Moore's name on some like the address on a box in the garbage or something like that.
Yeah. Nice. That's
haven't
cool.
actually met him, but
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty big building.
Okay. Yeah, they're a great group, very influential, and it's cool. It's cool to be in that kind of environment with, just like you're saying, like all the different creatives, the creative types working together. I think that brings like a nice energy to your work, to be surrounded by all that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about production too, is, a lot of it for me, especially, is just by myself staring at the computer screen. So like to interact with other people, even if we're not like actually, even both musicians,
Yeah.
it's like, Oh, and also, I mean, I'm in my third space in this building, and I don't know, they seem to not have windows in studios anymore. So like, I'll come out and it'll be like dark and raining, and it was bright and sunny when I went in. I'm like, what? And
it is a weird thing sometimes when you really get in the zone too, and like it's like you go in this portal or something, and you come out sometimes like, whoa, there's a world out here. Kind of forgot. Yeah. So yeah, like I would love to have a place to do my work that had like, this like great open window wall, where you can just kind of have that like visual. But I find the daylight to be helpful for me, to just I don't know, keep me going or something. Like it's vitamin D maybe.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I have trouble staying awake if the lights are dim.
Do you find yourself doing like collaborations with some of the people? Like if you've got, say, like you got different artists, so that maybe they're doing like album work or covers, artwork, or anything like that. Does that ever happen?
Not so much for actual artwork, but I mean the place I'm in now. So I actually just had a baby this year.
Congratulations!
So thank you. So my whole kind of situation has changed. So I was like a full-time, and now I'm just a day or two a week, basically in a bigger studio. So what I've been doing is anything that comes along that I'm not like 100% interested in, I'll just pass it to one of the other guys in the studio, and it works out great for everybody because the client's happy. My roommate's happy, get some extra work, and I'm happy because I don't have to like bend over backwards to get this gig done that I may or may not have wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah, because that can be a tricky thing. Unfortunately, I guess like sometimes you just gotta do the job, and do the work, even if it's not a project you're 100%, right up your alley kind of thing. Just you got to do the work, I've had that experience, where you're working on things maybe that the heart is wandering on.
Yeah. No, and I mean, from a business point, I mean, it's tough to keep the lights on, to pay the bills and everything, no matter how you slice it. I mean, nobody who's really doing music is doing it to get rich, we're all doing it for the passion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe the ship has sailed on those days, where that seemed like an option.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that being said, though, I think it was either last year or this year is like the first time the music industry, as in like, record labels and stuff, are actually starting to uptick since Napster came out in 2000.
Really?
Yeah, so like the CD sales just died, went off the cliff. iTunes brought it back a little bit, but then it came back down, and now we've like bottomed, and we're starting to like have growth again, which is pretty interesting.
What do you think that's due to?
That's all the streaming services finally getting themselves worked out.
And the pay is finally starting to come in.
Yep, someone's getting paid.
Right.
I don't know who, but someone is.
Supposedly, right? That's funny because you always see different artists posting like, well, I had 1 million streams and I earned 14 cents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's, you need a good lawyer to negotiate your deal if that's what's happening to you. And I mean, I really love streaming. I'm on Spotify. I just think it's awesome, like to be able to find new music, and I make playlists all the time, and I mean, like I said before, I've dabbled with DJing in the past, but for me, it's mostly been to like help my production. Right. So now I got the DJ Pro app, which integrates with Spotify. So when I'm in the studio with an artist, you know, if we need a reference, I'm just pulling it up on Spotify, throw it in the DJ app. You know, if we need to loop a section, I can loop it. You know, all the DJ tools are right there, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, our access to music is incredible these days.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I mean, I'm sure you come from the day like me where, you know, you were passing around mixtapes and then later on burning CDs.
Yeah.
That didn't quite last as long, I guess, but you had to actually get your hands on it, you know, and now it's like, I think one of the most like futuristic moments I've had in recent memory was when I realized I could say, Siri, put on whatever song I could think of, you know, and it would just come on. It was like magic. Yeah. That was one of these times, you know, recently where I'm like, wow, you know, we live in the future.
Oh man, I got to try that now.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, I mean, pretty much anything you could think of. And she's like, now playing, you know? And it's been great for checking out new music. I do have like I guess feeling that maybe like it's becoming more disposable though. Where like, you know, when I was younger and I'd buy a record, a CD or whatever, you know, there was this like negative $20 in me that really wanted to put some effort into liking the album. You know, I've invested in it and now it's like, well, I'm going to try to like it. Maybe it'll grow on me. And you put it in the time in a little bit more. Yeah,
well, that's part of the thing that I think is improving the music as well, because now that you have streaming and you have your numbers and everything, you can see like who's really listening to your music and if people are in fact listening to your music, because there is so much music now that, you know, there's too much to listen to. It's disposable, like you said. But like, I mean, you know, if I have a favorite song, I'm going to listen to that, you know, on repeat still.
Yeah.
So, so all those people who are complaining about not getting your streaming money or whatever, you know, you might want to like stop complaining and get back in the studio and write some better songs, because, you know, get those numbers up. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, that's very true. You start to see like what's actually going on, which is cool, because that's in the old days you would just how many records you sold. You don't know if anyone actually listened to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like grandma buys 10 copies and, you know, like augments, you know, she's not listening that much. But to have those like cold hard facts is pretty cool. You can just see it.
Yeah, it reminds me of my my first ever like major label engineering credit that they actually remembered to put my name on, was on Ghostface Killah, Fish Scale, and my mom bought the clean version. I didn't even know they had it.
That's cool. Did you have to work on the clean version too? Is that
No, it was a sample replay, so I wasn't doing any of the like vocals or any of that. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool though. She got the clean version. Probably a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think that one's probably, maybe she listened to it once, but yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
I don't think Ghostface got a new fan.
Or maybe she's a secret fan and you just don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
You turned her on to something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at your, I guess this is like your page with your credits, and it's some really impressive stuff here. John Legend, Kanye West, Rick Ross, Fun, Eminem. Some really good stuff there.
Yeah, thank you.
So, how do you enjoy that kind of work? Is it, are you like a part of a big team in those situations? I imagine there's a huge crew of guys working on these tracks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just a little cog in the machine, basically, on all those. It's like a really, you know, typically small part, but I And there's so many more that I've like worked on, but they haven't, they deleted or didn't make the cut or whatever. So it only counts if it actually like comes out with
Gets the release.
your work on it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Like with the credit even?
Well, the credits are kind of like, I'll give that a pass because people forget to print the credits, and everybody's streaming it anyway. So I don't even know where to read credits anymore. Yeah. Oh, and then I was on AllMusic, and like allmusic.com. That's where you go to verify people's credits. And for some reason, they don't like me, or they didn't like me for like the first 5 years I was doing it. And I was on these indie records with like 2 other engineers, and both the other guys would be on there and not me. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, why are you leaving me off this?
Yeah, that's not cool.
But then they finally, like, I don't know what happened. They emailed and called and whatever, and then they finally put about 25% of my credits on there. So at least there's some.
Yeah, wow. How terrible is that? Not right.
The
it is
typical lack of accountability in the music business. I mean, it's not just there. It's like a big problem. I mean, even with the like the publishing, like the BMI and ASCAP, and that's half the reason why these people aren't getting paid from their streams, is because if you register your song incorrectly and you get a payment for that, the people who are collecting that money don't know where to send it. And it's just like a ton of paperwork. So, and if it's a small amount of money, no one's going to, chase you down to give you your $20 or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And I guess that's hard to justify spending your time trying to recover that too.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's not always small amounts. Sometimes it's larger amounts. So.
Yeah. Oh, twisted business, huh?
Yeah.
So I saw too that you are, I guess we would say, an alumnus of Berkeley.
Yeah.
Berkeley
College of Music, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I do one of their online courses.
Okay.
One of the Ableton Live online courses.
Teaching or learning?
I'm like, I guess like what is the official word here? I do the grading. I do the like chats and stuff online. So
cool.
I didn't author the course, or it's not me in the videos, but I do kind of like all the interactions. So I'm like, I guess like their professor.
Oh, gotcha. So they have like pre-made videos, and you're kind of ministering them, I guess.
Yeah. So it's basically you get your videos and your assignments for the week, and then I'm there to interact with. I'm your human.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Then we do like the chat and stuff. Yeah, I love it. You never know who's in the class, and there's all people from different backgrounds and different styles of music, and there's nothing like being on like a live interactive chat, being asked questions and how to do this, how to do that, to really keep you on your toes. Yeah. Because you don't always know what you're going to get at that point.
My dad has actually taken a bunch of the online classes, and he loves them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even think they had it when I graduated in 2005, so it wasn't really
probably not yet
back then. But
yeah, that sounds a little early for online video courses and chats.
Yeah, like Facebook had just come out, basically. I don't even know about YouTube, but
yeah, I think YouTube might have been around 2005 or so.
Yeah.
So it was definitely new. Probably a little early. Too much in the future. But so do you come from like a family of musicians, and is that how you got yourself involved?
Not really. I mean, my dad, he played baritone and trombone and trumpet. Nothing, not really like professionally. More just like in college and high school and whatnot.
Yeah.
My mom played the flute. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. More than just listening to the radio.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm actually from Vermont originally, so I feel like a lot of the pop music culture growing up like missed me. But I had like these little like weird pockets. Like I was super into MC Hammer
Who wasn't?
and Def Leppard
Nice.
and Billy Idol.
Very cool.
That was like elementary school all the way.
And to this day, Def Leppard's my wife's favorite.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
really good. I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
we saw them at Jones Beach here on Long Island. I think it was last summer, and yeah, they were good. I gotta say, like, I mean, they sounded really good. It was fun. It was exciting. It was a great chance to do some good people watching.
oh, I bet.
You know, the crowd there was definitely like a time machine. So that was fun. But yeah, and it's a cool venue too, Jones Beach Theater. I forget what they're calling it now. Now it's some sponsored, you know, Nikon or Tommy Hilfiger Theater. You know how they do with all the venues these days.
Yeah.
So it's funny actually because like, you know, I go into the city to a venue I've never heard of and it's like, oh, I've been here a million times. It's just not called Coca-Cola, you know, Timex Theater.
Someone else bought it again.
But Jones Beach is like outdoor on the water, like amphitheater style. And, you know, I wouldn't say it's the greatest sound in the world, but it's a pretty cool place to see a show.
Yeah.
Outside like that and in the summertime. So, yeah, Def Leppard comes on a lot around here.
Oh, nice.
Billy Idol is one of my first real memories, honestly, of like a rock star, like growing up.
Oh,
I'm not exactly sure what video, but I have an older brother, so he was into like Billy, you know, he listened to that, but especially like U2, The Police, and to me, like music and MTV was like something my cool older brother did, you know.
Yeah.
And Billy Idol, for some reason, like it's one of those videos where he's like breathing at the screen, you know, like doing his lips snarl. And it just like was one of those things that just struck me as a kid. One of like the early memories I have and first time I became exposed to like rock stars.
Oh, yeah, wow. Yeah. See, that's the other thing too. I didn't have MTV either. We didn't have cable. So that was part of the reason I think why I missed a lot of the boat on the pop culture.
Yeah.
But I think that actually helped me as a producer because of like, you know, I don't even think about like what the video is going to look like when I'm doing a song, you know, and like,
right.
This is a completely other thing for me.
Yeah. I think, you know, you can kind of look at anything as an advantage in a way. You know, like if you had spent your whole youth watching MTV 24 hours a day compared to like when you don't, you know, like it changes your perspective. And, you know, whereas it gives you that like kind of ability to detach, you know, some other person might have the same like opposite, you know, superpower as a result.
Yeah. Well, I think for artists, it's like crucial to watch that stuff because, you know, that's like, you know, market research basically.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily MTV anymore because unless you're 16 and pregnant, but
yeah, I don't think there's any music going on anymore.
Yeah.
It's been like that for a long time now, but
yeah.
I think, they came out like MTV2 and that was like all music videos. And then soon enough, that was just shows again. And it was all gone. The music video, just, it's not the same as it used to be. It's all, I guess it's YouTube, you can see them, but just not the way it used to be, you know, back in those days where it was everything.
Yeah, I mean, well, I feel like the YouTube video has kind of replaced the album cover. I didn't actually say that. I read someone else say that, but once I thought about that, I was like, you know, because now you're streaming it, you know, you don't get that. I mean, originally it was the vinyl covers, the 12-inch, so you had this huge picture. And now that's all you have for like a visual of what the artist is.
Yeah.
But I just skip all that anyway. I just throw it in the DJ app and and listen.
Nice. Well, it's pretty true. Something I've noticed in like younger kids. I teach high school English. It's the grown-up job I have. And the kids are, whenever they show each other music, it's always on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's how they do it. Like they go to the video, which, I mean, I'm getting used to now, but when I first saw it, I was kind of like, well, that's weird. I wouldn't have guessed you would go to YouTube. I'd figure you'd have it on your phone. It's easier to just pull up the music on your phone, but it's not. I don't even think they really keep music on their phone much anymore.
Yeah.
You know? I guess there's no need now because you can have everything in the cloud, stream it all in.
Yeah, you get that unlimited data plan and
yeah.
rock.
Yeah.
I mean, YouTube became the #1 streaming service kind of by accident. Really. It's, I mean, and it was awesome how it happened, but it was kind of weird because of the sound quality. It was like not very good. Still kind of isn't the greatest.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, that's something that like is a funny thing, how as much as technology has advanced, we're actually going back in the quality.
Yeah.
It's like it's a step backwards. And and again, in talking to like younger kids, like they actually think an MP3 is high quality. They think it's new. It's MP3. It's like high quality. They don't realize that it's like the compressed file.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a funny thing because I do like a music production course sort of thing after school. It's like a fake club, and and we got a whole bunch of Ableton pushes donated, and
nice.
I get a bunch of kids that come in, and that's something they'll say like, oh no, I want to make it MP3, so it's like high quality. I'm like, well, this is a moment I need to teach you about now.
Yeah.
And they're always kind of like, what? Probably don't believe me.
Yeah. I haven't done the push. I'm on the APC 40.
Okay, nice.
I had the old one, and then I sold it to get the new one, and then I failed to get the new one for like 2 years or something, and then I finally was like, all right, I need this.
Yeah.
So I went out and got it.
Yeah, I use that too.
It'd be awesome too.
Yeah, I use the new one too. I like it. I love having like the faders, and all those knobs you can map. I think it's a great controller, especially like for live performance.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. I have a couple like mixed feelings about the new one over the old one, honestly. I don't like how wide they made the buttons, because what I would do, like I think I was telling you earlier before we went on, like when I perform, I keep the mic in one hand, and then I'll use the other hand to do all my like clip launching and stuff. And I used to be able to take my hand and like launch a clip on track 1 and then launch another one on track 8, with just my thumb and my pinky spread apart. But now I can't reach it anymore.
Yeah.
And the other little thing, but this is like just an easy fix, just kind of paint the knobs a different color. But the black knobs on the black background are hard to see in the dark.
Yeah.
I find myself like looking for them a little bit, unless like there's the the LEDs around the thing are lit. When you have your knob all the way down to 0, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
I find myself fumbling a little bit.
You gotta turn it up.
Yeah.
Turn it up.
There's a solution. Just turn the effect up.
Turn everything up all the way.
It's like that meme they have. I don't know if you ever seen this, where it's like your like a visual of like your DAW's tracks with the UV meters going all the way up to the red, all 8 of them, and it's like, sounds good, bro. Just totally slamming, clipping and stuff.
Well, I think actually that reminds me. I just read an article that was saying the Loudness War is finally dead now because of streaming services.
They've kind of like leveled it off, right? I saw this headline, "The Loudness Wars dead." I didn't read it though.
Yeah, it's because the streaming services will like auto level your tracks, so when they blend into each other, they're all at the same level. But then the thing that you're using now, which I haven't really researched yet, is the LUFS. That's like the measurement.
Yes.
For how they do it. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. But
I've
I guess
seen it in writing.
Yeah,
I'm with you. It's this new thing I didn't really get to yet.
I have a client who's like a millennial, and he just went to DubSpot, and so he was using this plugin called Levels, like all capital Levels, and they have the LUFS. So I got that. So at least I have the meter for it, but still gotta learn what everything means and how to make it the best it possibly can be.
Right. Well, it is a good thing though, because when you like really look at what it's been doing to the dynamics of music, it is unfortunate. Some of the remasters of old records, just lost a lot of life. That's one of the eye-opening moments for me at back at Berkeley. It was when George Massenburg came in and he said, "Go back and like load the old Nirvana and Metallica records into Pro Tools and look at the waveforms. Like they're not that loud. Mm-hmm. If you want it louder, you turn your volume up." Yeah. One of I thought one of the best videos I saw about the Loudness Wars used Smells Like Teen Spirit as the example, where you get that little kind of dirty guitar in the beginning, and then when the drums come in, ba-boom, ba-boom, they're so loud and huge, and then they show like a remastered version where the little tiny guitar is now all the way up, peaking pretty much, and the drums come in, it's like there's no life to them. And like actually when the band comes in, it almost sounds like it gets smaller.
Yeah.
There's just no room anymore. But I remember the feeling. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I've been hearing my latest, I guess, production effect that I'm like trying to master / hearing a lot is I hear Flume do it a lot, where they like take the kick, but it can't be a busy kick. It's like a infrequent kick, and then that is goes to a bus that's got all of the instruments but none of the vocals, and then that's on a side chain compressor. So the kick like squashes all your synths and bass and guitars and stuff, and you just get this like huge pumping effect. So the kick like blasts through, and then you hear the release of the compressor coming back in. Yeah, it sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's a fun effect to do. I love using that in kind of different ways too. Like when I'm doing like some guitar music, for instance, if I have like a guitar solo coming, I want it to be big and loud, but I don't want to like lose all my energy in my rhythm guitar. So I'll compress the rhythm guitar, sidechain that to the lead guitar, so the rhythm guitar ducks out of the way for the lead and then comes back up. That's
gotcha.
Kind of like a sneaky way to keep the guitar loud, but then have the lead still cut through.
Gotcha. So like ducking it.
Yeah, exactly. And I do that on my vocals for live performance. If I want like a heavy delay, I actually have the channel that has my delay on it listening to my vocal, and it just ducks the delay out of the way when I sing, so I can get a clear vocal, but then I can still have like my huge reverbs and delay. I can have my cake and eat it too, without washing out my vocals.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's I think too, like just having those like interactions where one track affects the other is something like I kind of miss, moving into like a DAW compared to like recording on tape. Whereas like I've got like a Tascam 388. It's a 8-track, 1/4-inch reel-to-reel. And if you have something too loud on track 1, it affects track 2. It like gets in the way. It like bleeds over. It kind of like you can actually record something on one track that'll just like kind of just blow out the other tracks. And I think that's always going on, maybe just like very subtly. Whereas inside your computer, everything's so separate. Like they're just their own universe, and sometimes things don't like gel the same way. I'm kind of all about like dirtying my sounds and kind of ruining my recordings.
That's how like, you know, I found you in the first place, was like from the sound design and like all the old like funky weird stuff you're sampling. It's like pretty awesome. Like I don't really see anyone else doing it like quite on the level that you are.
I like to hear that because I think there's sort of like a time and place for everything a little bit. So back when I first kind of got a little bit more serious about recording, a buddy and I, we were like just turned like 20, and we both put our money together and we got some ADAT machines to record on like the VHS tapes. And we got a couple like decent mics, but we didn't have enough really to mic the drum kit. So we had this like garage sale mic we found. It was a realistic mic, like Radio Shack brand, you know?
Radio Shack.
And it sounded like crap, you know, especially compared to other stuff. But we would put that mic on the other end of the room while we were recording drums. And at first it was just as a joke, like, let's just throw it up, you know? But it actually like gave the track a lot of flavor. And I think it was because it just had a different quality. And where we had like much cleaner mics, this one just had like some kind of like dirty magic to it, you know, when it was in context. On its own, you know, you'd be like, oh, this mic sounds like crap. But in the mix, it was just kind of cool. I just feel kind of lucky to have learned that, you know, you can kind of find a place for sounds. And sometimes when everything sounds really good, something kind of crummy sounding, there's room for it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's like the whole mantra or mentality or whatever about, you know, not mixing everything in solo, because you know, if you make stuff sound awesome in solo, when you unsolo it, how's it going to sound with everything else that you've made sound awesome in solo?
Yes.
Like not everything can sound awesome, but it has to sound awesome as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, the tough lesson there for me was with my guitars, because I've always wanted a thick guitar sound, really heavy, you know, low end. But I found that my mixes sounded way better when I rolled off like everything below like 80 or 100 hertz. And it just made room for all the other stuff that would actually beef up the guitar in turn.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like counterintuitive, I guess. You'd think if I just turn up the bass on my guitar, it'll sound cool, but it actually sounded better thin and tinny.
That's what I was saying before, man. You just got to turn everything all the way up. It sounds awesome.
Listen, guys, the secret here is
just turn it all up.
Yeah, you know, just push everything to 10. That's the secret, folks. You heard it here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I feel like we're in the era of education right now. Like, I mean, you know, Berkeley Online, and YouTube has been huge for me. I mean, like, I actually just joined the Cymatics has like a education platform they just came out with, and I mean, for me, it's like, you know, I know what I'm doing to, you know, do my job basically, but I'm always like looking for, you know, new stuff just to keep it fresh and, you know, keep it interesting.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to go about anything, honestly. The minute you decide you know it all, like, you just get stale, I think.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. It's fun to try new things. And sometimes you can even learn from, you know, someone that doesn't really know what they're talking about or doing. They're doing like kind of things wrong because they just don't know any better, but it has a cool sound to it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes like our like experience and pride and education can be our own worst enemy, because we will never try the thing that you're not supposed to do, because there's a rule against that.
Yeah.
You know, I learned that at school.
You're gonna get a bad grade from AfroDJMac in your class.
Right. I'm kind of funny, and like I'm always like trying to fight the perfection of perfect digital recordings, and a lot of times I'm like purposely doing things that are wrong
Yeah,
just to like make things sound a little worse, a little dirtier. I mean, I like that though, you know, like a lot of my musical background came from like garage rock, like Nirvana was huge for me. So like the just the rough around the edges thing always appealed to me. I
yeah.
like it, you know, things to sound kind of raw, and as soon as it gets a little too polished, it sounds like not as authentic or something.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too when you're mixing on, a big console versus in the box. I mean, if you have your mix tracked out onto the channels, half of the sound is just driving those channels
Hmm.
a little harder than just clean.
Yeah.
And my mentor Ken Lewis said it the best. Like we're not making Kenny G records here.
Yeah, yeah. I
Not
find
today anyway.
well, I find like sometimes just running it through some sort of electronics, some wires. I mentioned my tape machine. Sometimes I just run it through the electronics of that, and just to get a little character, a little warmth, and like you said, you drive it a little bit. It sounds kind of cool. It's hard to get that in the perfect digital world,
Yeah.
you know. I think you're seeing a lot of that even in like some of the products that come out these days now. Like people are starting to long for that some.
Mm.
You know, if you look at like Electron's analog heat, you know, I love that. That's such a cool piece of gear. It's even if you just run it through like the clean boost, you know, it's just a little bit of like harmonics, a little bit of saturation goes a long way. And
Yeah.
my thing is I need to learn a little restraint with it because I love to just kind of overdo it.
Yeah.
I get excited. But yeah, it's always been like a big thing for me is just enjoying the way things sound running through something or just kind of pushing things a little bit.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. My latest so the studio that I'm in now, we have the Antelope Orion interface.
Okay. That you
Um,
won't find at the local garage sale.
yeah, yeah. No, it's but the reason I mentioned it is because it's kind of like a new, I guess, paradigm with their chip. And I don't know, my partner, I guess, was telling me. So it's basically like a chip that like emulates the actual circuits of analog gear,
Hmm.
and then when you load a plugin, I guess it's called a plugin, or it might not be called a plugin. I don't know. Whatever it is, when you load a compressor or EQ or a guitar amp or whatever, it takes the schematic of that piece of gear and just loads those resistors and capacitors and tubes and whatnot on the chip.
Wow.
And then, so it's a lot more similar to the way analog processes your sound than, DSP or running it through, some Waves plugins or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
But yeah,
That stuff excites me. I like that a lot, you know.
yeah, because you're talking about, all the stuff you've mentioned is mostly analog realm.
Hmm.
I'm like a digital baby. Like I keep it in the box. I don't let that box open at all for anything.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Well, it's
no,
more convenient
I
for
have
sure.
some analog stuff that I run it through, but I'm generally trying to. So my whole thing is like I try to use like different brands because everybody does their DSP a little differently.
Right.
So I have a Pultec EQ from Waves is going to sound different from the one from UAD versus, whoever. So I'll
Hmm.
try to like mix and match and use like different companies
Yeah.
on the mixes to kind of give it that like different flavor and sound. And make it less homogeneous.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a cool idea. And those two are kind of like the emulation of the analog idea, you know.
Exactly, yeah. And then so now I guess the big thing is like the transformer emulation, and that's what put UAD kind of ahead of the game with everybody else, was they really nailed that. And now I think the other companies are starting to catch up a little bit, but
right.
UAD, their stuff just sounds like really good. All this Antelope stuff is giving it a run for the money. Like if I had nothing right now and I was just starting, I would probably go with an Antelope.
Really?
Over a Apollo. And it, like before I found out about this, like a couple months ago, it would have been Apollo all the way.
Yeah. Yeah, the Apollo stuff is pretty awesome. When that stuff was like kind of first coming out, I got to go to like a little like preview of it in some studio out in the city. I don't even remember what it was, but they had like some demo situations where they had like a singer in the vocal booth. And I mean, at that time, the really exciting thing was like you were putting all your effects on the actual Apollo and not on your computer. So you could track through it. You could do all your processing without any latency. And it was like, wow, you know. But the quality of the effects were like, man, this sounds really, really nice. You know. So.
Yeah, they really like raised the bar, I think, for, you know, because now you got Waves, you know, selling all their plugins for $29. You wait long enough, and then Slate is the other big one. You know, everybody should have a Slate subscription. If you don't have anything, like start there. $15 a month. Like you really can't go wrong. It has like everything you need. But
I didn't know they had a subscription service. That's cool.
Yeah, the Slate bundle is pretty cool. I actually had 2 subscriptions, but I just canceled one so I could join the AfroDJMac.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah,
sorry.
no, it's cool.
That's cool.
No, I've been building the sound library lately, so I didn't even know you had a subscription service, honestly, until I lost this Super 8-bit pack from 2013 or 14 or whatever it was, and I'm like, wow, that's great. Like, yeah.
It's good for me for keeping me like active too, you know, like I have to make something every month, you know, like just the self-imposed deadline. It's been like really nice for me to like, all right, I got to make something cool now. So
yeah,
it just
and
keeps
yours
you
is
going.
so cheap. I mean, you're basically giving it away, so it's like, you know. But the quality, like I was saying before, of your stuff is like, you know, I don't really see anybody else doing it like that. Like, I mean, the Super 8-bit pack, like you went and you took the actual Nintendo, and I was reading the description, and you had like that weird interface that you could send MIDI into the Nintendo.
Yeah, it's called the MIDI Nests. It's basically, it's literally a Nintendo cartridge with a MIDI cable coming out of it. And it's got, I guess, some kind of like software on it that allows you to interact with the different channels on there. You know, you get your triangle, your 2 pulse wave, then there's a noise channel, and then there's like a sample channel. And I guess it's just loaded with random samples. But the weird thing is, I think he's still got his website up, but there's a lot of like noise on the internet that like you can't get them anymore. And orders have gone unfulfilled. People are kind of PO'd. So I don't know, like I feel too confident recommending anyone go out and get it, but I love it. It's awesome. And like the way those sounds come out of the Nintendo, like compared to like if you load up like a, you know, just any VST or something and said it's a square wave, there's something different. And part of it is the noise. They're a little noisy. There's a little bit of buzz that comes out of your Nintendo. But I don't know. They just like punch you in the face.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the same reason why people are using MPCs, is because of, you know, those inefficiencies, I guess. And like I was saying before about, you know, different plugins from different manufacturers. It's the same with synths. You know, you have your Korgs, your Rolands, your Yamahas, their basic piano patch or synth patch or whatever, they're all going to sound different just because of the way they put it together, even though it's the same concept.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've got a few like mono synths behind me, right, and they all kind of do the same thing, and but they do it different, and they all have their own like little charm. But some of them, like, yeah, certain synths, like, they're kind of undeniable. Like when you hear the actual hardware, they just like kind of like come at you in a different way. It's hard to put my finger on it, and it's, I don't even think it's always like the analog versus digital thing, because some, like, I have a DX7 that really isn't really working too well anymore, but you know, that's digital, but man, it sounds great. It sounded great. It just, there was something about it. I don't know what it is. It's, sometimes I wonder if it's just like running things through wires and the components and whatever. Just,
yeah, maybe it's the converters plugging it out and plugging it back in.
Right. Weird. But it's noticeable, like especially when it's right in front of you. Yeah. You're listening to it.
Yeah, I was never super big into synths. I mean, I was a bass player originally, so
I started on guitar myself.
Yeah.
That's how I know music the best is guitar. You know, that's like I can navigate music the best on a guitar.
Yeah.
Not that I'm really that great or anything, but I just, my understanding, you know, is strongest there.
Did you ever do any of the like guitar to MIDI things?
Yes. I've experimented a little, and I did really like was it Fishman? I think they call it like the triple play, maybe the Fishman triple play, I think it's called, and it's polyphonic. I gotta look that up as I speak here, but it's very quick. It's low latency, and it's wireless, which is pretty awesome. But at the same time, yeah, it's called the Fishman triple play. And it's like this little strip you put like right under your strings, and then it's got a little wire that comes out, and then I guess that's where the wireless transmitter action happens. And then you plug it into like you plug like a USB dongle in your computer, and it wirelessly sends that information to the dongle.
So it sends MIDI into the computer?
Yeah, I guess it converts the notes to MIDI. But, you know, playing guitar is noisy. You know, you move your fingers on the strings and it creates tones that the pickup will hear. So you get a lot of like random weird notes, like at like the 8th octave, you know, like as you, it happens. Like you have to play different. You got to like really focus on like being clean with your left hand, and your picking hand's got to be like really precise. And you do get used to it. And I like it a lot. I wind up not really using it a lot though, for whatever reason. I always think like I got to use that thing more, but
yeah, I had a setup like that for my drum kit, which I don't play drums, but I have a drum kit. But I had the triggers and the brain and everything, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have drummers come in, and like then I'll have MIDI of their performance. Yeah, I did it once, and then
yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, I've never really tried it with the triggers, but I do have like this really little like V drum set. So like it actually folds up, and like it's by Roland, and all like the promotional material shows like drummers like folding up their drums and walking to the gig to practice, you know. And it's cool, you know. But sometimes I just feel like the pads, you know, they work well too.
Yeah.
It's just a different feel, though. You get, like, I guess a little bit more like an actual natural drumming feel.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not a drummer, so it's all the same to me. It's the same with the synth keyboards too. I just got the Native Instruments one with the weighted keys, but I'm not sure if I like them because I had I've always had the Akai keyboards with the synth keys, and they were just easier for me to play because I'm not like a keyboard player.
Right.
So just something about it. It's just like,
yeah, I get that too. Like, I'm not a keyboard player really either. So things like the mini keys, they don't bother me as much as like some people. Like some of my friends that actually play piano, they're like, oh, these keys. I'm like, whatever, it's small. I like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't take up much room in my space. Excuse me. So let me ask you, like, do you have any advice to like the aspiring engineer producer, to get their foot in the door, like get work? Any thoughts on that?
Well, to get your foot in the door, first you need to identify the door that you want to get your foot in.
Good
and
point.
I feel like that's harder than actually getting in the door because, if you're trying to get like, signed to a label or whatever, I mean, you can get to these people. It's not that hard, but you want to like be prepared basically when you're, approaching them. Anyone really, like you want to come at people with like a way that you can add value to whatever they're doing, basically. If you're looking for something for yourself, you don't want to just come up and be like, give me a record deal, make me famous, get me a show, no one's going to pay attention to you. Or, even on Facebook, listen to my song, like no one listens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and so I guess the perseverance thing and patience is really important as well. Just, have a real goal of what you want to do with it and just, keep pursuing it. And, everybody's got life to do as well. I mean, we all got bills, we all got family and friends and whatnot. So, you got to make time for everything, but it's easy to do other stuff besides sit in front of your computer and work on this track that you haven't perfected yet.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's very true. There's always something on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a million other things you could be doing.
Yeah.
But if you're not making music, someone else is. So, and that's your competition.
So that's a good little mantra there. If you're not doing it, someone else is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you just got to get in there and grind it out. And honestly, I mean, be prepared for disappointment because music industry is not as glamorous as it looks on, that show Empire on Fox.
I don't really know it too well, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the record exec. It's like a musical that actually Timbaland does the music supervision for it.
Uh-huh.
So the music is amazing. But so my wife is a middle school teacher, and she told the kids, I've got all these credits. I work with Kanye, whatever, and so they think I'm like the main guy on Empire,
right?
And it's like not like that at all. Like it really is not. It's way less glamorous.
That's
it's like
really
those
funny.
memes you see where it's like what my friends think I do, what my mom think I does.
What I really do.
What I really do.
like head in your hands.
Yeah.
Agonizing over a snare drum.
4 a.m. in front of the computer.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people doing it part-time. I mean, that's okay too, but that makes it just even harder to like actually make the time because now you have less time. I mean, for me, that was a big change having a kid. Like, now I do the daddy daycare thing. I mean, that literally cut my studio time in half. But I'm looking at it as a good thing because now it forces me to focus on projects that are really important to me.
Yeah.
So like, you know, if I'm only in the studio 2 days now, when I used to be in 6 or 7 days, it's like, what am I going to do on those 2 days?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be a favor for a friend. It's going to be what I want to do, basically.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to realize. Your time is so finite. And, you know, I've had a problem in the past. I still struggle with this, like saying no, you know, like you want to take work. You want to just keep getting things. You want to, you know, anything comes. Like, I'm always like extremely grateful that anybody would want me to do anything for them, you know?
Yeah.
But somebody said this to me is when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else, and to like consider like what you're saying no to. And I mean, even if it's like you know, time with your kid, like growing up, being a dad is like, you know, do you want to give that up to work on like something that isn't really that important to you? Is a big decision.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I've kind of gotten out of the studio owner business, because like, well, I was never really in the studio owner business per se. I just kind of needed a place to work. But like, I mean, you know, if you get into like opening a commercial studio and whatever, I mean, you got to make that rent now. So you might have to record this crap metal band who can't sing, or not to bash metal, but this crap band who can't sing and just are going nowhere, but they have money. So like, you have to do it. And then that's your weekend right there. Like,
right.
Is that really what you want to do?
No, I found myself in those situations before when it was like, you kind of realize like, you know, this isn't the dream I had.
Yeah.
You know, so I think those experiences are important to have, and those realizations that, you know, like, what do you really want? Is sometimes you find that the thing you think you want isn't that at all, and you learn there's a lot more to it. Like I always think to being in bands and going on these like little mini tours we would do, and then you know, it's a lot of fun. It's great, but like, sleeping on a floor again, sleeping in the van with the boys, you know, it's cool once in a while, but like night after night, you know, it's nice to get home.
And then like, and bands who do that are lucky if they break even.
Right. Oh,
like
we never.
More often than not, you're coming out of pocket for that.
Yeah, you're paying.
Is that what you want to do on your vacation, or do you want to?
Yeah, well, that's how I had to think of it as vacation, and at the same time, those are some of my greatest, funnest memories with my friends, you know. But
no, I mean, I'm not like knocking it per se, like, but you gotta really want to be doing that to sleep on that floor, you know.
Yeah, and that is a grind. That's a tough part about it. And you know, I think the longest we ever went was like 2 weeks, and we had a blast, but you know, at the end of 2 weeks, I was pretty banged up. You know? And it's not like you're going anywhere you go is really that nice. Usually, like the dive bars, and you know, nothing glamorous about it. You know, when you tell people that you did that, they picture you're like rolling in like in the back in a limo or something.
Exactly.
So it's definitely like good to realize that, you know, like you said, identify what door you actually want to go in and understand like what's really behind that door.
Yeah. I mean, as much as you can, you know, you want to like you said, you got to have those experiences. I mean, everything, I think in music in general and life and everything, it all kind of balances off each other. And you might have to do that to realize that you don't want to do that. Yeah. I mean, I know I've produced records that I'm not proud of, and that's what we say around here is not every day is a Jay-Z day. Some of them are, but not everyone.
Right. Yeah, I guess you get one of those every couple months. That's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to, like, you know, just keep something fresh. I mean, this year I got the Future album that I worked on from 2014 just went gold because of streaming. They finally count streaming golds.
Yeah, and they should,
And,
because that's my opinion. I think they should anyway, because I think that the days of buying CDs and stuff is, I don't know. It's not. I don't see kids in my school coming in with CDs.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, cars. A lot of new cars don't even have CD players anymore.
Yeah, so I
It's all
just got a
MP3s
computer
and
without a
Bluetooth.
CD player, and
Yeah, yeah,
and I haven't
exactly.
missed it
So,
once, honestly.
yeah,
I haven't missed it once.
yeah,
Well, congratulations, though. That's great.
yeah. Thank you. But yeah, so just trying to keep the grind going, keep the lights on, and have some fun while I'm doing it.
Yeah. Nice. Do you have any interesting projects you're working on that you can talk about at all?
Um, so
You're
I
excited
just
about?
had a release on like a Warner subsidiary in the UK, which was something that I produced. So that was for me pretty big. That's like my biggest like production credit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to build the production because that's more fun for me. I like making the beat or track or whatever, and like producing all the vocals and like doing everything from the ground up.
Yeah.
So to get something out on a label like that was pretty nice. And then right now, no, not really working on anything in particular. I don't know, just a couple different albums. I mean, it's weird because you never know like what's gonna hit.
Yeah.
Like the Fun record, it ended up being like the biggest song of the year.
Mm-hmm.
2 years after I worked on it, because it was a slow build.
Oh, yeah?
And when I first heard it, I was like, what is going on with this record? It's like tempo drops for the chorus. Like, who does that? Like, it was a favor and blah blah blah, and then it ended up being like probably the biggest record I worked on. So I'm like, okay,
That's We Are Young, right?
We Are Young, yeah.
On the page. Yeah, that's cool. I remember when that came out. Kids were listening to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You did the engineer work on that one?
I did the sample replays on the kick and snare, like the big kick and snare on the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a sample of an Eric B. and Rakim record.
Oh, okay.
Like some old hip hop drums.
Nice. Were those sampled too?
Probably.
Yeah, that's cool. So it's like a third generation now.
Yeah, something like that.
That's pretty neat.
It was like it kind of sounds like almost like a Lynn drum,
mm-hmm.
maybe through some of your special grit.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly. I don't even remember what we did, honestly. I mean, I was working on this kick sound for like 3 days, and like noise, filter, automation, saturation, whatever.
Wow.
I mean, sample replays are kind of mind-numbing. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that for anybody, but it's gotten me on a lot of big records. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm glad I did it. I just, if I don't have to do any more of them, I'm okay with that too.
Gotcha. So when you're talking about sample replay, what exactly is the process of that? Is just the sculpting of the sound and getting it to fit just right?
Yeah, it's it's typically hip hop. The guys will sample a record and then they can't clear either the publishing or the master. And so if they can't clear either, then you can do a flip, which is where you make an exact replay of the sample, sonically the same and everything, and then you change a few notes. So it's like a new piece of music that's very reminiscent
Mm-hmm.
of the original. Or you can do just an exact replay, which is when they clear the publishing but not the master.
Okay.
So that means the label, typically it's a label that owns the original recording, said no or gave them too high of a price or whatever. So you just make an exact replay of it.
Right.
But I mean, this has been going on for like forever, really. I mean, the classical composers, they used to like rip each other off and, change a few notes, and, everybody's knocking on sampling and copyright and blah, blah, blah. And I get it, if you wrote a song and, someone else takes it, chops it up and makes it into a hit. And if you don't get anything for that, I don't think that's fair, but like, it's an art. I mean, it's really awesome. That's one of the reasons why I love Ableton, because like the sampler is just amazing.
Yeah, it is. You are making something new, Yeah, I have like funny feelings about it because doing the work I do, making my own sounds and instruments, and I'm at the stage where I don't care. I'm happy anyone would want to use anything I do. but it's I have a hard time understanding someone that can't see that it's something new and fresh. Especially even just like playing in bands. And it could even have been like a song, I wrote the whole song, but someone comes in and even if they play the same drum beat I had, like the way they play changes it, So like, I just always, and it might even just be their own personality being in the room with you sometimes that makes you go in that direction. I think it's a part of the writing process, just sometimes just being around the people, and you might have came up, air quotes, with all the ideas. I don't think that same energy comes out of you without the other guys or girls with you in the room. I think that's part of it. Because, I mean, I know, like, I achieve a much different energy level when I'm playing with a bunch of people compared to when I'm, like, at the computer or at, like, a push or something or a keyboard, like, stationary and, I'm not sweating, my heart's not pumping as much.
No, it's you get the reactions, and you're getting the feedback from the other musicians. But definitely, I agree 100%. Like I'm much more productive as a writer and producer with at least one other person in the room, even if they're just sitting there like telling me I suck. Like I'm like, okay, I'll try to suck less.
That's too bad you got people like that there doing that for you.
That was
You need I need the insult dog sitting on my shoulder. Beats crap. All right. I think I got one of those in the back of my head anyway. Soon enough it speaks up and is like, well, this song you're working on is shit. So
one of the bands I produced, we would always be like, we send them into the booth for the first take, and they'd like botch it, and we'd be like, all right, sounds great, ship it to radio.
Top 40 hit right there.
Yeah. But I mean, there is some truth to that, because like, I mean, it all comes back to practice, really. Like you don't want to be wasting people's time in the studio either. You want to come with your A game. It just makes everything better.
Oh yeah, especially you're paying money for that and no time to mess around. I've told people like, just go back home. I'm not going to charge you. Like, go practice and come back in 2 weeks. Like, Sometimes that's what it takes, right? That's the ugly truth.
Yeah.
Well, I know my kind of writing process these days is almost like backwards, where I sort of like perform first and then I start bringing it into like a recording. Because a lot of like the writing I do winds up just being like a live performance, and it's it might be like a bunch of clips inside a live, and then some things I'm doing on the fly and automating, whatever, singing live. But it sort of like becomes the song more organically that way, where I'm like kind of feeling it out as I'm performing it. And then I have to go record it, where I know like a lot of people will record their song, then work it into a live performance.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So but I find like it's amazing how much it changes the more you work at it, the more you just keep plugging away, and just even little things sometimes become huge. Just the phrasing of a vocal line or a little pause in the drums here or there. And then next thing you know, that's like the most important part of the song. But, if you don't have the rehearsal of it, it's, it can suffer quite a bit. I guess that's kind of obvious, right?
Yeah.
You should practice, guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like the old house tracks, you have like, a kick and like a bass and maybe one synth, and it's looping for like 64 bars, and you're just like, what is going on? I'm so bored. And then this hi-hat comes in and you're like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like this cat, like
just on the offbeat there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of fascinated by some of that stuff in a way. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like I enjoy the music, like from like a listener perspective, I guess. I mean, I do a lot of times, but I really like, I guess I appreciate that when you can be so minimal and it's still like enough to keep you listening, and because my tendency has always been to overlay or, overdo it just because you can. I have infinite tracks. So let's see how this sounds. And you just throw in another thing. So I'm really like interested in like, what is sort of like the bare minimum. And then like you said, like when like a hi-hat comes in, it's exciting because in a lot of the things I've done in the past, like, you would never notice a hi-hat coming in because there's so many other things going on to a fault, I think. So I'm kind of into this like less is more sort of thing where it actually makes a difference that a hi-hat came in.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Yeah.
But I struggle with that sometimes on my own because I guess it's the inner critic or something just saying like, this is too boring,
Yeah.
But sometimes if I can step back and then listen later, I'm like, you know what? By having less go on here, I can really listen to the texture of that sound and like get a feeling for it. Whereas if it was covered in layers, you wouldn't even know.
Yeah, and that's why you got to have the hot sounds.
The hot sounds.
The hot sounds. I don't want the whack sounds.
Yeah, it's weird. And this is why I love doing it. This is why I love making music, is because it's so mysterious. As much as I learn and understand, I'm still like, wow, I'm still bewildered. And it's fun. It's a discovery. It's exploration.
Yeah.
So listen, I want to be respectful of your time. You've been very generous, and I appreciate that a lot. I'm trying to, I guess I already asked you the one question about like advice, but I'm trying to get these like regular questions going on this show here that I'll ask a lot of people. Do you have like a desert island piece of gear where like the one thing, and I'm realizing that the easy answer is like, well, my laptop, but if we can maybe like assume you have that, you have electricity, like, is there like a piece of gear, that like you would have a hard time living without? Anything you come back to a lot, or?
Ooh, I don't even know. That's a tough one. Yeah, I mean,
the boat's leaving. In like
I mean, honestly, what
2 minutes.
popped in my head was this Antelope Orion. Like, that thing's awesome.
Cool.
But is that necessary? Not really.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a piece, that requires other things to make it
right.
like do what it does, So
that
I don't know. I guess
might be the flaw in my question there.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. Just probably I don't even know. Honestly, it's so tough. Yeah, I guess the laptop and Ableton, I can make it work, or any of them really. Pro Tools, Logic.
I'm kind of excited to hear your excitement about the Antelope, though. I didn't realize that it was this like resistor circuitry, schematic emulation. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's a secondhand description. Like I haven't actually read up on it. Okay. That's like what I was told. So, but it sounded really cool, and I've been using it for a few weeks now, and it does sound like really amazing. Like,
right.
It's definitely.
I like this trend, that we're seeing, like even like the Roland stuff. They're doing the analog circuit behavior. I think they're calling it now ACB. I just, and even like inside Ableton Live, like the glue compressor, I love it because of the way it distorts. Is awesome. It's got that soft clip button, and it doesn't clip really. It just crunches, and
that's the only one I use. I don't even use the regular one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm really digging this, like, and they did that with the filters too in there recently. Yeah. This like move to like try to figure out how the hardware, the analog hardware, how it kind of like degrades the sound almost, or like how it like kind of all the things that I guess technically are faults in a way, like how it distorts or how like when you overdrive it, which you're sort of not supposed to do, like, but it sounds cool anyway. I'm really into like how we're starting to see this like move to capture that and not just have like, nasty digital clipping all the time. And it's like it's been a while since I've heard like nasty clipping and stuff I'm doing on a computer. And it seems to be like the push is to go in this like different direction, which is fun. So it's fun. It's nice to hear that.
And now it's like actually harder to do that by accident now that everything's all the 32-bit floating point or whatever. I mean, you can clip the master bus, but like it's really, I mean, when I was starting out, my mixes, like the faders would be like so close to the bottom. It was probably like really bad resolution. Mm-hmm. But, now they can be like wherever and it just sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cool direction. So, but I don't know. I don't think I'll ever get tired of like turning knobs and pushing faders.
Yeah. Some things never change.
Right. All right, Cooper. Thank you very much for taking your time. Fun talking to you.
Yeah. My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to the pack next month.
Okay. Would CooperAnderson.net be the place to send people to check you out?
CooperAnderson.net. That's great.
And just so everyone knows, there's an O at the end of Anderson, not an E.
Yep.
In case anyone...
Anderson with an O.
Yeah.
Check me out. Hit me up. I'm on. I have a link to my Sound Better page. I'll give you my email too. It's info@cooperanderson.net.
You're gonna get millions of emails now.
Yeah,
you did it.
My servers are ready.
Cool. Yeah. So we'll put all this in the show notes too. We'll give some examples of your work. But it's been great talking to you, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone for listening. Again, this is the Music Production Podcast. I'm Brian Funk. I make music as AfroDJMac, and this has been our talk with Cooper Anderson. So take care, everybody.